there's something really beautiful that came out of what you said, this idea of reasons over results. Like, you know your reasons. You don't know what the result will be, but you're sure about your reasons. And that's something we can all practice and take on. Like, I think that's something everyone who's watching can apply, that you never know the result of your decision. You don't know how it's going to pan out, but you can be sure about your reasons.
Without question.
And if you feel clear about those.
And to recalibrate perhaps what success is. And that's, I think, a big issue in a broader society. What is success? Success is not this amount of money. It's not this amount of gold statues and trophies. You know, you've got to look at it as a whole. It's really interesting. If there are numerous people who talk about the night that they won an Academy Award as being the loneliest night of their life. And yet for us, looking in on that, you look and go, oh my God, this is incredible. I would give anything.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think it's more, the climb is the thing. The top of a mountain, I think, can be quite a isolating experience, actually. And the climb to the top of it is, and of course, when you get there, it's amazing. Because you go, oh my God, we did, you know what I mean? We did it. It's like someone that takes a helicopter to the top of Everest is not going to have the same experience as a person who's climbed it.
Absolutely.
You're looking at the same view, but it's going to feel very, very different.
For sure.
I also think it's an incredibly, you know, the anxiety of it, the fear of it. I can only imagine. I don't know. I can only imagine. And so I think that what you realize is that the doing of the work and the climb of it is the thing that is the most satisfying. And how can there be such a thing as best? Ever. You can be the fastest runner over 100 meters. That's not up for debate. Usain Bolt, you are the fastest runner over 100 meters. You can't be the best film. That's impossible. You know, it's
more subjective.
Yeah, of course it is, and should be.
Yeah. Where did your drive for success come from? You just said that you've realized now that success is not, you know, the bank balance or this or that, these specific things. Where did your initial drive for success come from? Did you always define success in a particular way, or was it just what you think everyone in our generation was almost chasing?
I don't know. I think for me, really, I really don't remember a time that I didn't want to perform. I just don't remember a time that I didn't want to just perform.
Did you perform at school and at home?
I mean, everywhere. I would call it performing. I'm sure some people would call it showing off. My mum would, you know, oscillate between the two, stop showing off. Still, you know, like I loved performing in any shape or form. School play, church, playground. I really, really loved it. Like I can remember so vividly the first time I was ever sort of on what we'd call a stage. So we grew up we were a family that were in the Salvation Army, which is a church that's also a charity. And like any church you're born into, you think that this is completely normal. You know,
so true.
When you're any church you're born into, and then you'd like whether we would like put on a uniform, and my dad would, you know, occasionally march down the road in a brass band, and we would do Christmas caroling, and I would play the trumpet, and you just thought, well, this is just completely normal life. And then you get to about 15 and you're like, guys, this is really weird. But it was essentially a church, and that's what we'd go to. And a church, from what I can really work out now retrospectively, was perhaps full of the least Christian people I've ever met in my life. You know, like many churches, you know, at its core, good. Infect it with people becomes something very, very different. And so we're in High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire, and My sister was 4. My sister Ruth was 4, and it was her christening. And we were on the platform, which was, you know, to all intents and purposes, looked and felt like a stage to me. And the Salvation Army officer, the vicar, the priest, I couldn't see because I was, you know, quite small. And he said, let's get James a chair. And I stood on this chair and I could just see there was maybe, I don't know, 30 people in the congregation. It looked like 1,000. And I just started like pulling these faces and turned around and looked back through my legs and people are chuckling. And I was like, well, this feels fantastic. And then what I really remember is sitting back down in the congregation, and I was sat between my mum and dad, and the person's back is in front of me. And I remember being like, well, this is boring. This isn't nearly as much fun as being up there. And I was 7 at the time, and no, I was 4, and my sister was obviously a newborn, so I was 4. And I remember just thinking, well, that's it now. Life is a quest to be up there as much as possible.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I think that's what I always thought success was. Like my absolute ambitions were to be in a West End musical. Yeah, that was it. That was the peak. And literally, it was a road away from where we are now at the Prince Edward Theatre. And I was 17 and in a musical. And I honestly, genuinely was like, well, that's it for me. It cannot be greater than this. Yeah. That's where my absolute ambitions were, to be just on a West End stage.